as we can. But if you are not actively involved with Alan Firestone's hot rod, you need to stay away. Stay away, please. We'll get a report back to you just as quick as we can. Don O'Neill goes red by a foul. Alan Firestone runs it through for the win, then runs into the problems down in the shutdown area. And we will report back to you just as quick as we can. Again, folks, if you're not involved, stay away. It is not your involvement. Leave room for the safety crew to do what they need to do. Word from the top end of the racetrack, Alan Firestone is out of the car and is okay after that run down the racetrack. Firestone on the top end, ran it through, ran a little quick. And Alan Firestone looks like the chute got stuck in the back and Firestone's hot rod into the wall down at the top end. But Alan Firestone out of the car and is okay. Be down for a bit while we get the top end cleared up. Great hot rod for Alan Firestone. Back-to-back wins on the Lucas Oil Series. But that one's going to be headed for the shop. Or a new car is going to be ordered, one of the two. But it looks like the parachute. Getting caught in the back end of the car and pulling Alan Firestone over and into the wall down at the top end. But again, the good news is Firestone out of the down at the other end of the racetrack and is okay, as reported by our top end safety crew. So on hold here for a bit. I know several people across the country tuning in at the 8 o'clock time slot for alcohol final qualifying. We just ran our top sportsman final round. Alan Firestone's car getting caught up with a chute under the back. Understand there was some oil that came out of the car as well as the engine gave up its life down at the other end of the racetrack and spun Alan around into the wall on the right-hand side. So we got some cleanup going on the top end in the O'Reilly lane. Alan Firestone is out of the car and is okay, and that's always the important word that we like to be able to pass on to you. The driver is out, the safety equipment, the roll cages, the nets, the restraint system, the helmets, the gloves, the fire suits, doing what they're designed to do, and the reason that we all go through tech when we're racing to make sure that we've got the right equipment and we're protected as we head down a quarter of a mile. And Alan Firestone able to step out of a rough impact with the wall down there on the top end. And Noah Allen probably got a smile on his face, said a few words, and told the guys at the top end, I'm fine, but my car's hurt. The good news is Allen is out of the car and is okay. So we're on hold for a moment as we got our stock eliminator semifinals, our super gas semifinals, and final qualifying in alcohol dragster before we wrap up eliminations for super gas, stock, comp, super street, super stock, super comp, and top dragster. Down to the finals in all of those categories. Just about ready to put a wrap on race number 1. So you know what? We can do it all over again tomorrow. Start bright and early at 7:45 in the morning. Super Street out first. As we start race number 2, of course, our alcohol cars will race their elimination rounds tomorrow. And we'll crown our alcohol dragster and alcohol funny car champs. But again, on hold for a bit as we get the top end cleared up, cleaned up, and ready to go as we continue on, finishing up and finalizing race number 1 here at Heartland Motorsports Park this weekend. And a cleanup going on still down in the top end. I can see him making some progress. Some of the equipment is rolled off. Just kind of get the finishing work done before we get into our Super Gas semifinals. 3 cars left in the show. The cleanup getting close to being wrapped up. Those of you that strayed away from your TV but left the volume up, watching online on dragracer.tv. Do want to let everybody know we want to thank you for joining us today. The largest unique viewer field ever. Over 35,320 unique viewers have tuned in today on dragracer.tv. A huge number. The biggest single-day audience ever. Even beating Alan Reinhardt at the Baby Gators earlier this year. And Reinhardt, take a step back. You're now number 2. And I had to throw that out because, well, Alan beat me up last night about he held the top spot. Nothing like bragging rights between announcers. Yeah, we're all kind of shy and bashful. And top end looks pretty clear. Looks like we're going to be getting back into it here right shortly. Super Gas semifinals, Stock Eliminator semifinals, Alcohol Dragster, final qualifying. Getting ready to come up. Then we'll roll into all of our final rounds that we have left. We've crowned Alan Firestone our top sportsman champ. And Pat Roetto with a 15,000s package in the finals of Sportsman Motorcycle to pick up the win there. That's a pretty good old day at the office. And Ryan Sifrig with 3 cars left in Super Gas, and he had the bye, did what he needed to do. Started the car under his own power, staged it, and he is now final round bound. Roger Sauter and Rick Cates going to see which one of them is going to come back to running. Sauter, your former division champ, whooped them all out in Great Bend, Kansas. Not one, but almost 2 full races. And Rick Cates out of Canyon, Texas, Corvette, trying to make it an all-roadster final round. Who's it going to be? Roger Sauter up on the left-hand side, the Nebraska runner. Rick Cates coming up from Texas. Can't think of a better spot to meet up to run than right here at Heartland Motorsports Park. Again, tip of the cap to everybody today for adhering to our mask rule. Sure do appreciate everybody's efforts. A lot of people looking in from across the country. Record day for dragracer.tv. Cates on the right. Sauter on the left. Going to be a CUDA and a Corvette, or going to be all Corvettes in the final? We're fixing to find out. Rick Cates off and running. Roger Sauter's car set forever on the starting line. Cates runs it through, 997 for the win, and it'll be an all Corvette Roadster final round in Super Gas competition. Cates with a 997 and a $145, and Roger probably bumped the box getting into the car. Had way too much delay in it, and it cost him at the other end. Semifinals now, stock eliminator. Phil Giles, Jeff Lopez, heads up, factory stock C. Lopez qualified with a 963. Phil Giles qualified with a 964. Ladies and gents, let me tell you where this race is going to be won. Right here on the starting line. Couple of boys coming at us out of the Lone Star State of Texas. Our final semifinal before we get into alcohol qualifying. Phil Giles on the left, Lopez on the right. At the wheel of Johnny Gonzalez, the Ace Door and Repair. Copo Camaro, right-hand lane. Giles on the left, though, going to come up short down at the other end, 963 for Lopez. That'll put Jeff into the finals. Phil had the better light, but the car spun at the hit. His 60-foot time, about 3/10 behind what Lopez was. So for Jeff Lopez and Johnny Gonzalez, they had the better starting line setup and able to run another 963 to move into the finals. Well, they'll come back to run Logan Warnett, the classic early model Mopar. 383 cubic inch combination, and Logan does what he needs to do to establish a final round. Pulls in under his own power, stages, accepts the green light, and we're down to finals in all of our categories. Alcohol, final qualifying. Dragster and funny car getting ready to roll out at us. Here we go, boys and girls. Final qualifying. Alcohol Dragster. We will set our field. Christine Chambliss and the crew out of Scott City, Kansas. Chambliss Roofing looking to see what they can do. Christine, who has had a couple of shots, hiked the front end up yesterday, last evening about this time. Carried the front end out about 300 feet before finally getting it to settle back down and coasted through with an 869. Came up in the session earlier today. When she went to bring the RPMs up, the car crept through the beams. She did not get a run down the racetrack. Now, with 8 cars on the grounds, she's in the show. Right now, she's looking at racing the number 1 qualifier, Robin Samsel. And right now, they just want to make a good run down the racetrack to see what they can do. Chambliss on the left. Single run to give it a go. See where she can put herself in the show. The front end up again, set it back down and on and off the throttle. Chambliss goes 662 at 181. Trying to gather any kind of information they can. Good 60-foot number. And after that, it kind of went downhill. But the 662 at 181, Christine's in the show, like we said. And then the number 8 spot, whoever ends up number 1, whether Robin Samsel holds on to the number 1 spot or if somebody bumps him out, Christine knows that they'll be running the number 1 qualifier in first round of eliminations come tomorrow. Round number 1 tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock is Alcohol Dragster and Alcohol Funny Car. Eliminations will begin then. Rachel Meyer missed last night's session. Young lady at work. Couldn't get off to be here. Shows up today. Early session. Runs a 5:49 with the Meyer Trucking entry. Out of Menards, Aeromotive, Dots Pretzels, NGK et al. Out of Spring Hill, Kansas, Rachel. Short and sweet burnout, James Stevens. The blown hot rod out of Gothenburg, Nebraska. Now we got 2 blown alcohol cars and 6 injected nitromethane machines. Stevens has been a very quick blown combination. Right now, the runner out of Gothenburg, Nebraska, sitting in the number 4 spot with a 5:37. 5:44 and 5:37 on the 2 laps. Rachel looking to step up, move into the top half of the field. 5:49 earlier today, the only run down the racetrack here this weekend. Rachel was down in southern Missouri last week with her Super Comp car. Comes back this weekend, the injected nitro car. Ted Lake, Randy Meyer, crew over there on the left-hand side. Both cars in, like we said, 8 cars on the property. Everybody's going to race. It's now all about jockeying for position and who's going to run whom. Rachel left. Stevens right. Stevens smokes the tires at the hit. Rachel Myers rockets through 540. 264 miles an hour. Stevens off the line and hits the little bit of smoke rolling off the top. Rachel into the number 5 spot. Stevens number 4 with as he ran earlier with a 5:37. Nothing changes. That is a first-round matchup come tomorrow at 5 p.m. for round number 1 of Alcohol Dragster and Alcohol Funny Car. The alcohol cars scheduled to run at 5, 7:15, and 9:30 tomorrow. Our Alcohol Dragster and Alcohol Funny Car final round will close out day number 3 here at Heartland Motorsports Park. Aaron Cooper getting ready to roll in. Aaron on the left, number 6 qualifier. They've been 5:44 and a shutoff 5:93. For Bon and Fonde clutches and Pro Data Data Systems. McKinney chassis car over on the left, and another injected nitro combination. Cooper right now in the number 6 spot. Certainly capable of jumping up into the 530s. If he runs quicker than the 537.2, he'll shuffle around the bottom half of the field, give himself a lane choice. Does it mean a lot on this racetrack? So far it has. Track's been good, left and right. But to have lane choice, if you need it, is always a pleasure. Aaron Cooper right now, sitting number 6, does not have that. He'd be looking at run Terry Schmidt in the opening round tomorrow, with Terry having lane choice. But to get in the top half, got to run 5:37.1 or better, or a 5:37.2 at more than 265 miles an hour. Car can definitely do it, as Warren Evans sitting here next to me says. Be interesting to see what he can do. Cooper on the left. Second generation driver. Gary turning over the reins to the youngster. Going to pull him up into the beams. Terry Schmidt sitting out this session. Jared Dreher sitting out this session. They know they're in. They'll be ready for tomorrow. Cooper on the left. Can he step up to top half? Going to find out. Pulling hard on the big end. 542 at 267. Progressively better, not better enough. 542 improves his qualifying time, but does not improve his qualifying position. So Cooper right now looking at a matchup with Terry Schmidt, Megan Meyer, and Robin Samsel, getting ready to do battle to see which one of them going to claim the number 1 qualifying spot. Megan coming off the win last weekend over in Columbus, where she raced this car in that final round. But Robin Samsel wasn't in the cockpit. Mike Booker was. And a great pair, or great string, of 520s by both of these cars at National Trail Raceway last weekend. There is quite possibly a high 520 out there this evening. We're going to find out here in a moment. Robin Samsel on the left. Marion, Indiana. The car has been thundering of late for Justice Brothers and Goodson. Robin Samsel at the wheel this weekend. Mike Booker, as we said, the Hope Over Heroin signage on the car last weekend. Booker and Megan. These two cars met the finals at National Trails a week ago. Megan, your reigning world champ for NGK, Dots Pretzels, Lucas Oil. Over here on the right-hand side. Robin Samsel currently number 1. Megan currently number 2. They're going to stay that way. They're going to swap. Megan like to have the number 1 spot back. Robin would love to hold on to the number 1 position. Samsel and left, Megan on the right. Final pair, final round of qualifying. Alcohol dragster. Robin Samsel, 530. Megan with a 532. Both cars have been in the low 30s on both their laps down the racetrack. So 2 of the consistent hot rods could be looking at a final round matchup come tomorrow night. I know there's Robin Sampson left side, 5:34. Megan Meyer takes the number one spot, 5:29.9. She swaps positions with Robin Sampson, goes 5:34 at 2:69. But I'm telling you what, both cars dead consistent going down this racetrack. And a number one and number two matchup in the finals tomorrow night. And I'm not holding anything back against Terry Schmidt, James Stevens, Rachel Meyer, Aaron Cooper, Jared Dreher, or Christine Chambliss. But Megan and Robin, so far, the cream of the crop here in Alcohol Dragster Racing this weekend. But eliminations is always a matter of what you got right now. And we'll find out tomorrow. Round number one, Alcohol Dragster at 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Need all of our finalists back to the lanes, please. All of our finalists need you back to the lanes. There's Alcohol Funny Car getting ready to come up next. We're going to start tomorrow morning at 7:45. Time trial run for our Super Street contingent and a qualifier for the LODRS Motorsports shootout. That'll take place tomorrow afternoon. Stock Eliminator will follow, then Super Comp, Super Stock, Super Gas, Sportsman Motorcycle. Round number one, qualifying for Top Dragster, scheduled for 11:45, followed by Comp Eliminator, Top Sportsman, and ended to eliminations. Super Street, Stock, Super Comp, final qualifying for Top Dragster, Comp, and Top Sportsman. Alcohol Dragster, round number one. Going to get serious tomorrow. One shot at the racetrack, and let's go racing. Brian Brown and Chris Houle. Brown, who had problems last night. The runner out of Gainesville, Texas. Problems at the get-go. Into burnout. One of 6 Alcohol Funny cars on the property this weekend just has to be able to stage to put his name on the qualifying sheet. Chris Houle's already there. Houle for C-Tech Manufacturing, Featherlight Trailers. Chris and his brother Kevin, two-man team out of Wyoming. Been at this for quite a while. Brian Brown, the Empire Ironworks car. Picked up the Wally a year ago down in Oklahoma. Alan Johnson power plant under the body of Brian Brown's Camaro. Brad Anderson combination, Chris Houle. Brian looking to get onto the qualifying sheet. Chris looking to see if he can step up from a 569. Going to bring the RPMs up and head for the other end. Chris Houle, a 571 at 256. Backed up a little bit from his 569, but the hot rod stays consistent. Brian Brown goes on to the qualifying sheet now. 726 at 139. You can see him rolling deep on the starting line, able to catch it, catch the green light, and be able to get a run down the racetrack. It wasn't stellar. It wasn't perfect, but it's enough to put him on the qualifying sheet. And he'll get to come back and play in eliminations come tomorrow. Chris Houle's going to stay number 3 for now. But we got Kyle Smith, Bob McCosh, Chris Foster, and Doug Gordon also set yet to come. Final round contestants, need your lanes, please. Final round contestants, need you all back to the staging lanes, please. Chris Foster finished number 2 in Division III competition last year, or Central region, our North Central region. The runner out of Davenport, Iowa. Made it to the semifinals last week over in Columbus at National Trail Raceway, the most recent event for our alcohol funny car contingent. Kyle Smith out of Wichita. Seen Kyle out a couple of times this year. Also been running a few 8-mile events. Trying to get a little more seat time. Get a little more tune-up information. Kyle right now, your number 5 qualifier to 573. Foster number 2 at a 568. Kyle, of course, the second-generation driver. Chris Foster and the family. Out of the Quad Cities of Davenport, Iowa. Foster on the right. Can he step up from a 68? He's gone 68 and 69. Kyle like to get into the 60s himself. Foster drifted towards the center stripe at a 572 lap. Kyle Smith, 644 for Chris. You can see the car down there just past the half-track mark, getting up close and personal with that center stripe. Chris said, you know what, I'm in the show, 568, no sense in doing any damage. Shuts it off to a 644 to $159. So for now, Chris Foster stays 2. And for now, Kyle Smith stays number 5. And I say that because Bob McKay sitting in the number 4 spot. Getting ready to come up next, Doug Gordon for Beta Motorcycles. The Rideability team over here on the right. Sitting in the number 1 spot. McKosh can certainly shuffle the field around and has a car most capable of doing so. The runner out of Columbia, Missouri, taking on last weekend's champ out in Sonoma, California. Is Doug Gordon able to roll into Sonoma and pick up the win? Alan Johnson Performance Engineering Power Plant underneath the hood of Doug Gordon's car in a 558 in qualifying. See if he can step it up here. Super Gas final round. Need Siffring and Gates, our 2 Corvette Roadsters, to the final or to the lanes for your finals in Super Gas. McKosh on the left, 570 the best so far, at a shutoff 20-second run last night. Doug Gordon also had a trouble-plagued run, a 7-second run, to go along with his 558. Gordon's sitting number 1, but he hasn't had the back-to-back repeatability runs that we're used to seeing out of the Beta Motorcycle hot rod over here on the right-hand side. McKosh looking to get a good lap down. 570 is his best. It's a 550 capable car. Doug Gordon knows that Bob McKosh has got the good parts, and he knows that that car can go to the number 1 spot. Be interesting to see if we got a swap in the number 1 spot like we did at Alcohol Dragster final pair. RPM's up. Here we go. McKosh on the top end, 583, 207, no improvement. You can see moving around a little bit down on the other end, and a 558.9 for Doug Gordon. He's gone 558.4 and 558.9 now in qualifying. Doug Gordon ends up number 1. Chris Foster number 2. Chris Houle number 3. Bob McKosh sits in the number 4 qualifying position. Second generation racer Kyle Smith number 5. And Brian Brown, another second gen racer, number 6. To round out our alcohol funny car field. And again, round number 1, 5 o'clock tomorrow night. 7:15 for round number 2. And we'll wrap up day number 3 here at Heartland Motorsports Park with our finals about 9:30 tomorrow evening. Hope you're able to tune in, either dragracer.tv, nhra.tv, or in person here at the racetrack. As our final round contestants getting ready to roll up now. Our finals in stock: Super Gas, Super Street, Super Stock, and Super Comp, as well as Comp Eliminator getting ready to roll in. Stock Eliminator, Jeff Lopez and Logan Wernick, you should be in the lanes. Cates and Siffring, our Corvette Roadsters in Super Gas, should be there. Comp Eliminator, final rounds, Doug Ingles, Clark Smiley. If you're not in the lanes, come on, come on. Super Street, Glenn Dilday and Princess. Where's Princess? When you need him. Super Stock, Brett Spear, Justin Jenkins, need you to the lanes, and Super Comp, Mr. Stinnett, Mr. Kunkel, come on down. Top Dragster, Robbie Gear and J.R. Baxter. Which one of you is going to take home the Wally? You guys should be in the lanes as well, as we are down to final rounds in those categories. We've crowned our top sportsman champ, Alan Firestone, albeit it wasn't a pretty win once he got past the stripe. And we've crowned our sportsman motorcycle champ, Pat Roetto, who shut the door down on Donnie Derdenberger with a 15,000th package. Final round contestants getting ready to roll out from underneath the tower. They're up next. Super Street finals getting ready to roll out next. Glenn Dilday, Sibley, Missouri. Left side, the Black Nova. Mark Von Heater out of Nebraska. Right side, the black and white striped Camaro. 1090's up on the scoreboard. He's going to throw it down and take home the Wally. Mark Von Heater's wife, Angie, up in Ainsworth, Nebraska, up north central Nebraska, not that far from the South Dakota-Nebraska state line, listening in, biting fingernails, high in anticipation. Tanner Hubby, a.k.a. Princess, do it here in the finals. Glenn Dilday, the family back home in Sibley, watching in, I'm sure. Green lights appear, we are off and running. Separated off the starting line by just 0.06 of a second. Princess had the better light, and Princess lights up the scoreboard. 10:92 at 151. Glenn Dilday goes down, takes the stripe, runs a 10:87, and breaks out at 145 miles an hour. And Mark Von Heater, known to the racing family and friends as Princess, picks up the Super Street Wally, and Angie, I can hear her down here in Kansas screaming up in Nebraska. I'm serious. I can do it. Finals now in our top dragster show. Robbie Gear, one of the slowest cars in the field. Number 45 qualifier out of a field of 47 cars. has made it to the finals. Huge handicap starts going to the young man out of Greenwood, Missouri, all day long. J.R. Baxter, perennial top tenner. Out of Waxahachie on the left, going to see if he can shut the door on Robbie Gear's run to the title. Going to be tough. 624 to a 753. The dial. And the final round in Top Dragster. Robbie off and running. Here comes JR. 7th difference out of the gate. This one at the stripe. Going to go to J.R. Baxter as he shuts the door. 622 on a 24. Robbie Gear goes 750 on his 753. The breakout difference, 11 thousandths of a second. And J.R. Baxter going to haul the Wally back to Waxahachie, Texas. But I tell you what, you got to give Robbie Gear credit. Young man has driven the wheels off of that Mullis dragster today and made everybody here in Topeka and across the country aware of the fact that he can drive. And he made it to the final rounds, just came up 11 thou too quick. Superstock final round, Brett Spear taking on Justin Jenkins. Pair of GT cars, Spear on the left, off and running. Jenkins on the right, giving chase now, the Cobalt. Spear drifting a little bit out of the groove. Is that going to open up the door for Justin? At the stripe, it does. 971 by Jenkins, 1015 by Brett. You can see the car there before half track, drifted out of the groove towards the wall as Brett Spear was trying to locate Justin. And as he eased it back in to the middle of the groove, Justin Jenkins able to take the time to run it straight and true, and the Cobalt picks up the Wally. Another Wally going up to the Cornhusker State. Jenkins hailing from Beatrice, Nebraska. Your former Superstock champ. Now James Kunkel and Gary Stinnett in Super Comp coming up as we're down to 4 final rounds. In a field of 170 Super Comp cars and a couple of door cars, James Kunkel has driven the wheels off this Lumina to get to the finals to take on perennial champ, multi-time national champ, multi-time divisional champ Gary Stinnett here in the finals of Super Comp. Kunkel, Stinnett, out of the gate they go. Kunkel hard on the throttle, gets it down to the other end of the racetrack, and now the car slows into an 890, and he gets the win. 2 thousandths of a second at the finish line. They were 2 thou apart leaving the starting line. Stinnett had the 2 thou advantage, but an 891.4 by James Kunkel in a door car in Super Camp beats Stinnett's 891.8, the true margin of victory, 21 ten-thousandths of a second down at the other end of the racetrack. Unreal final round and a great pair to shut out Super Comp competition for round number 1. We're down to 3. Stock Eliminator getting ready to come up next, followed by Super Gas and the finals in Comp. And we'll put this race in the history books. Logan Wernick, E-Stock Automatic, Jeff Lopez with the Copo. Out of Texas, 1121 to a 972. The handicap start going to the classic Old Mopar there in the left-hand lane. Logan on the 1121. Going to be off and running, but he better get staged. There he is. Lopez turns it red by 6 thousandths of a second. Ladies and gentlemen, out of Mason City, Iowa, out of Dykema and Wernick Racing, the 62 Plymouth 383 combination. Logan Wernick picks up the Stock Eliminator Wally. Congratulations to Logan on the win. Tough break for Jeff Lopez, 006 red, leaving the starting line after surviving a heads-up against Phil Giles in the semifinals, and we're down to 2. finals, that is. But we've also got 2 Corvette Roadsters here in Super Gas. Ryan Siffring on the left, Rick Cates on the right, O'Fallon, Missouri, taking on Canyon, Texas. Davis Roadsters a pair, I do believe. Ryan Siffring, I think, turned his registration card over to his daughter because it says, I can drive, but my daughter is super smart. Way to go, Isla. Rick Gates on the right, off and running. Ryan Siffring on the left. Ryan Siffring hanging a bag of donuts on the starting line and runs dead 7 for the win. 12 thousandths of a second. Trip 0, dead 7. Beats a 16 light by Rick Gates, who runs dead 3. That, boys and girls, was another classic and tremendous final round, just like we saw in Super Comp and so many of our other classes. But triple zipple, and dead 7 to pick up the win at 164. Ryan Siffring, your Super Gas champion, and we are down to 1. Wow. 9907 beats a 9903. 12 thou, the difference. And Cop Eliminator. Doug Ingalls and Clark Smiley. Dragster versus door car. And a couple of guys that have been here before on more than one occasion. Get a reminder to everybody, 7:45 in the morning. Your time run for Super Street. Qualifying for Stock Eliminator right behind him. Super Comp, Super Stock, and Super Gas. Sportsman Motorcycle should take us up to about 11:45. We get into qualifying run number 1 for Top Dragster, Comp Eliminator, and Top Sportsman. We'll dive right into eliminations. Round number 1 of Super Street. Round number 1 of Stock. Round number 1 of Super Comp. Final qualifying for Top Dragster, Comp, and Top Sportsman. Alcohol Dragster, round number 1. Followed by Alcohol Funny Car at 5. Round 1 of Super Gas, or should be Super Stock. Round number 1 of Super Gas. And round number 1 of Sportsman Motorcycle. Take us into round number 2. Semifinals of Alcohol Dragster and Alcohol Funny Car. Round number 1 for Top Dragster, Comp Eliminator, and Top Sportsman. Round number 2 as we whittle our field of Super Comp contestants down in half one more time, and then we'll follow them with final rounds in Alcohol Dragster and Alcohol Funny Car. Top Eliminator final round and our final run of the day. Clark Smiley comes rolling in on the right-hand side out of Denver City, Texas. Doug Ingles down from Waterton, South Dakota. Ingles, little V6 D-Dragster automatic there on the left. Going to get a minuscule head start. 799 the index. Clark Smiley on a 785. Going to be right alongside of him in the Double B altered Pontiac. Here on the right. A couple of gentlemen had been in the pressure situation of the final round before. Looking to see which one of them can wrap up race number one here at Heartland Motorsports Park. Locked and loaded, off and running. Green light's a pair. Better green light, Doug Ingles. Clark Smiley's going to have to use up a whole lot of race car to pull out the win and can't get it done. 733 out of 181. Doug Ingles was 53 on the tree. Clark Smiley was dead late leaving. And Doug Ingles picks up the Comp Eliminator Wally today with a 744 at 178 miles an hour. And that, boys and girls, puts a wrap on race number one. Personally, I want to say thanks to everybody. Minded our P's and Q's, social distancing, and masks. Certainly want to thank everybody. And on behalf of everybody here at Heartland Motorsports Park and everybody associated with the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series of NHRA, thanks to all of our contestants for being here. Hey, you know what? If today wasn't enough, we're going to do it all over again tomorrow. 7:45 in the morning. Super Street, be ready. We'll be hollering at you. Good night, everybody. For Warren Evans, Dennis Weidiger, and the cast of thousands, well, maybe a couple of people, here at Heartland Motorsports Park. To everybody listening in on a record day.